All right, what's going on, guys? Welcome back inside Slightly Relatable. I'm Dan, joined with Ken,
Hello, hello.
as always.
We're not doing an intro song because they keep copywriting us, so we're gonna have to rely on our own talents instead of. But speaking of that, like, should copyright law even be a thing? Like, you should have like 5 years. Then I should be able to download that shit for free. Like, I should be able to watch Dark Knight Rises at this point without having to pay anyone. It's been long enough. How many people are still doing the DVD sales after more than 5? You get 5 years. If your book is interesting, it'll have a second life in 5 years. Otherwise, you made your money. These guys also, Trump's doing this whole brand new administration. Like, he's doing like a de-wokeification. Like it was like they're the Nazis, or like what they tried in Iraq, the de-Bathification, the de-wokeification. Just like, hey, Disney, all your woke shit, I could just make my own version for free and sell it. Just like those guys that sell the bootleg DVDs, and let's just make that legal. Make your own like illegal streaming website legal, and then he would bankrupt these guys. But anyway, so that's my rant. Liberalize copyright law now.
Well, it's the second show we're doing in November. Happy you guys can join us for yet another episode. Philadelphia Eagles play tomorrow night. We'll kind of start with that. They're taking on the 7-3, 7-2. Both 7-2.
No,
Commanders.
I thought we're in first place because they have one more loss than us. Aren't we like
No, I think
7-2
they're tied.
and
I
they're
think we're tied.
7-3?
Taylor just gave me we're both 7.
I don't know.
Both 7-2.
Whatever. Either way, we need to win this shit. This is the most important game of the year. Just
Thursday
like that.
night football, which is always kind of controversial. But I will say that the Thursday night games this year, I feel like matchups have been better than they used to be.
I just always feel like I'm getting clowned with like Thursday night football. They're always put really horrible matchups, or the teams hate it. They're the less rest. You forget it's on. You forget to set your fantasy lineup. You get screwed over every which way. I'm done with the Thursday night games. Like, there's enough entertainment. You need enough entertainment during the rest of your week. Just Sunday all the way.
Well, another thing that that could be controversial. You were talking about the copyright thing. The game's on Amazon now. So you have Herb Street and Al Michaels. It's the only game that Al Michaels does now.
If your choices are between stealing the thing illegally with some like bootleg Botswana pirate website, or giving Jeff Bezos money, isn't it better to err on the side of just stealing it? Like, this guy has like AI surveillance making sure that you don't generate human rights in his factory. He notices when you're supposed to get, pee, you get hit with a cattle prod. He literally built these like wellness pods where you go in and get brainwashed. Like, yes, I can control, breathe in, breathe out, and I was like, all right, back into the mines, slave. So that's the guy that you want to pay the money to, and NFL will just bend over and take it from Bezos. So the Saudis are getting involved with the private equity. So pretty soon, some rich like oil sheik who like cut Jamal Khashoggi up into little pieces, he's gonna owe the Cowboys, and it'll be an improvement over Jerry Jones, but that's what's going on.
All right. Well, circling back to the Philadelphia Eagles, both teams are 7-2. Big game for the Eagles tomorrow. I feel like the tide has turned. I don't know how to follow this, by the way. The tide has turned a little bit for the Eagles, where I feel like Nick Sirianni he's starting to crawl out of that hole where everybody wanted him out, wanted his head.
It's true. This team thrives when like everyone wants to kill them. Like, when everyone's talking shit on Sirianni, when everyone's talking shit with Howie Roseman. There was already like a mini Fire Howie thing that just happened recently, and he hit on his first 2 picks, and they look amazing. Now Sirianni, we're like, this guy's a clown. He's fighting with fans. What's with this whole Big Dom thing? He doesn't call anything. What is he, some cheerleader? And that may be true, and I still may want to replace him and do whatever it can, including like a targeted hit, if that's what it takes, if we But either way, Sirianni, his back's against the wall. He shaves his head off. I guess he had
Still haven't lost, by the way. They still haven't lost since he shaved his head.
Since he declared himself as a white supremacist and shaved his head and has been hanging out with Riley Cooper doing the game plan, all of a sudden, this offense has been explosive.
Been hanging out with Riley Cooper, going to see Kenny Chesney. But yeah, no, it's been good. It's been good since he shaved his head. Things have, well, we all thought the offense was going to be great on this team, but to see what the defense has done has been very, very surprising, but in a good way.
It's amazing. All we need, Hurts, just don't turn the ball over. The offensive talent's there, and the defense, which we thought was suspect, is looking great, especially the secondary. Do you know how weird it is to have a good secondary? I never thought we'd have
and
one.
Two of the players are white.
Well,
that's the crazy thing.
There's weird, and then there's impossible. We're already in impossible territory with the white cornerback.
Yeah, this can't last. There's no way this can last. But hey, Blankenship and DeJean, as they're saying in Philly, it's an exciting time, and the linebackers are looking good.
Yeah, like all of a sudden we have like decent linebackers.
Zach Bond, this guy had 8 tackles past week.
Yeah, like they didn't even throw for
good.
50 yards. And then who did they have?
Well, Cooper Rush is that's it's not good with
that's
that
an example of like that is such a perfect football name and it just never worked out. It's like Colt McCoy, Sam Bradford. These just guys sound like pure All-Americans. There's no way that they're not MVP and then they just fall apart.
Yeah.
So
there's some guys you could just probably you just know from the jump that ain't gonna happen.
It's just some guys. Well, yeah. So some people, you know from the get-go that their name disqualifies them. Sometimes they have the name, but they're still counterfeit. But yeah, like some people, like who do you have in mind?
Well, you tell me a guy, with a name like Jamarcus Russell, I could have told you that he wasn't gonna watch film.
And Ryan.
It's not a race thing. It's just a name.
Yeah,
thing.
Ryan Leaf just sounds like he's gonna wither and fall and be crushed beneath the feet of others. It's just that name. Versus Peyton Manning. That guy just sounds like he came out of the womb playing football. So sometimes you just go with the guy, and then so in the game, then they end up with like Trey Lance.
Yeah, he ended up playing. I mean, talk about a guy whose career is just tanked. His career is dipped like the Elon Musk new rocket. It's a straight down shot. It
came all the way down to earth and just went through the other side. Yeah, But
his doesn't land properly. His just crashes into the ground.
His exploded. It did a rapid, unscheduled disassembly. But it's just he was hyped so much, and then he saved whoever San Francisco 49er. That guy kept his job because he happened to draft Purdy in the last pick. Which, I mean, I hate that team so much, and I wish them nothing but suffering and misery forever. That being said, Purdy's pretty decent, and like I like the story of like the Mr. Irrelevant actually doing something.
Yeah, well, the Niners are on their way back now. Now that they got McCaffrey back, this is where they,
until he gets like fucking dysentery. Like this guy, he gets killed every time he goes and shaves in the shower. He almost beheads himself. This guy, he's got knees made out of glass. I don't know what his problem is. When he's on the field, he's
the second coming of Barry Sanders.
He takes all the athletic energy of all white boys in the entire world and focuses it on himself. But I think that's too powerful. It makes his body fall apart. So, but there's weird spiritual energy coming.
Tendinitis is what he was dealing with, but he's back now.
Yeah, but anyway, the spiritual energies that he's tapping into has made a DeJean possible. The fact that we have such a force on the field, but then, so he's injured. He's always falling apart. So they can be a good team, but... So
do you think the Eagles win tomorrow night?
I got to hope, but the Redskins, whatever the fuck they're called now, Commanders, Commodores, HR department.
That was a band, but yeah.
They look like a better team than us, and they can easily win. They look like they've been playing better and less mistakes and more complete, but we are an extremely talented team. I really thought this team would just like blow off the starting block this year and just destroy everyone. And if you look at the record, it's really good, but there's been so many sketchy moments along the way. Like as a Philadelphian that's always ready to like execute the coach and or the QB at any moment, as most of us are, I still can't get over that loss against the Falcons. That was just like we just gave it to them.
It was early in the season, though. Like I think they were still figuring things out. I think they've gotten progressively better since then. Since they played the Giants, they've just been playing a lot more complete football on both sides of the ball. And the Commanders have actually been going the opposite direction a little bit. Like they're just winning games by the skin of their teeth, and they just lost to the Steelers. So I think they're kind of starting to dip. The Eagles roster is far better than the Commanders roster. They just have had a quarterback that's saved their ass in a couple games.
I just love Saquon. Just dump it off to him on offense.
That guy's great. No, Saquon's really good.
Then AJ and Smitty, and then that guy we traded for, they've all made good plays too.
Dotson. Did you see the sun in that game, by the way? A lot of people were like...
People have been bitching about, like, all right, how dumb Cowboys. Are you? You know you're building this, like, $800 billion stadium. How do you not check with the architect what angle the light is going to come in? That'd be number one.
How is the sun an issue in, like, a dome?
Like, are you trying to use it as a home field advantage, which I'm all for, but, like, if it's blinding your team, too, mission failed.
Yeah, Cooper Rush is already bad enough. You don't want to blind the guy.
Yeah, if like I built something like that in Philly, I would want the sun like that. But like when our team's on the field, we have shades.
You have
and
mirrors, and then you have
and then when
mirrors.
that we have a focal like Archimedes built that giant mirror that could burn triremes. I would do that, and I would give Dak Prescott a permanent
We
retinal
have a
damage.
magnifying glass and burn him.
I would Micah Parsons would go permanently blind if he came into my new Mega Link that would have inventions like this, or like my new Veterans Stadium. That was the other thing I said what I would do at the Veterans Stadium. Dan gave me this idea, and we should definitely incorporate that. Is like make the guy like because they used to have a court in Veterans Stadium, which is awesome. It's so Philly. I would make that a reality show. It'd be like Judge Judy, and the guy should be put in like a penalty box, like plexiglass in the stadium, and everyone walking by when you're getting your hot dog can like laugh at the criminals that are dumb enough to get arrested by the Veterans Stadium police. And that would be a self-sustaining thing. That would be like Judge Judy and like Dr. Phil combined on steroids. If you made the vet court as a reality show.
But you get like some Delco judge.
Oh yeah, you'd have to have someone with the accent. The judge would have to be someone that was like previously arrested.
Yeah.
Like you'd have to be like, all right, if this guy,
He's not even really a judge.
well, it's like Judge Judy. It was just binding arbitration. They weren't. We could do
they
something
pick
like
somebody in the parking lot and be like, you're going to be the judge today.
that. Yeah, we found some interesting.
Yeah, cuz, all rise. That could 100% be a show. But moving on, Jake Paul fights Mike Tyson this weekend.
Dude, I bet this will just be one-on-one, like pure athletic prowess. No
Speaking of Dallas
showmanship.
Stadium, that's where it's actually it's in the Dallas Cowboy Stadium. Yeah, AT&T Stadium.
Well, there's going to be enough idiots. They probably will fill that out.
Oh yeah, no, I would think so.
Yeah.
If not, they're going to pay people to fill it out.
Boxing, this is what you get. You deserve to be lapped by Dana White. You fixed your own sport, so it became such a scam. You were afraid to put the top guys together, and everyone was like falling and just so the gamblers can win. So you deserve a bunch of YouTube dumbasses to come in and just make like your sport like an amusement ride at Six Flags. You know, like, could SpongeBob beat Mike Tyson? That'll be next. It'll be like a 3D model of SpongeBob, and that'll be the thing. And like, maybe Mike wins, maybe he doesn't. You deserve to have your whole sport turn into Mickey Mouse bullshit. Where say what you will about UFC, they're at least, they originally let people gouge them in the eyes. Like, that was a good idea, I thought, just push the envelope there. But then, people said, I can't see. Blood is coming. So it went woke, and they banned stabbing you in the eyes. So
I almost think this has become the smartest thing for boxing. They needed this. I mean, boxing was a burning dumpster because, like you said, people were grotesquely overpaid, and nobody wanted to fight each other because a loss is so much more, of a blemish on your record than UFC. UFC, it's just like the pedigree is so much lower, where it's like you could be winning the fight and then just get kicked in the side of the head and lose in the 5th round. Case in point, Kamaru Usman. He was winning the whole entire fight against Edwards and then lost in the 5th round because he got kicked in the face. So,
well, I've always said that the 5 rounds is stupid. Just keep going until someone is knocked out or just straight up surrenders. What is this? And then the points. Because anytime there's points, that's where you get the bullshit, the fixing and the rigging, and then the East German judge didn't give the same thing as the rest. Like, remember everyone bitched and moaned in the Olympics in like the 80s, and the communists would rig it. There's only one way to tell, and that is you knock someone the fuck out, or you make them feel so much pain that they literally say, please stop hitting me. I'm done. You win. Otherwise, round 27, let's go. And yeah, everything's too woke nowadays. Like, bring back to the death.
I mean, I don't know if that's necessarily woke.
It's woke.
It's just kind of getting out of the Renaissance period, but
Ever since things started.
Speaking of, we've talked about this. Medieval UFC. Have you seen this, Taylor?
Oh yeah, Dana, if you're listening, if
these
you want,
people literally fight with like swords and shit.
You appeal to all these men with your UFC, and it's great. But there's all these anime nerds that never leave the house that you could get. You just like tie in some hot anime cartoon girl character, and then you have these guys beat the shit out of each other with full-on swords and armor and flails and axes. And then you'll get all these nerds, and then people that truly want to see people battle to the death will join it. Like, this is the new frontier. And eventually, like, what could you do? You could be like, here's the lion that, ate that kid at the zoo. We had to put it down. Like, okay, we'll put it down, but wait a minute. How about you bring the lion to my event, and then we put like 5 convicted pedophiles against the lion? And imagine the gambling and like FanDuel's like, do you have the lion? Do you have the pedophiles? Imagine like you go in. Here's the victims' families.
It could be like a co-main event. It's like tonight's co-main event. We have Charles Manson, Jerry Sandusky taking on Harambe.
I'm telling you, pedophiles versus animals at the zoo that killed someone would be the ultimate. Like this, Mike Tyson would be nothing compared to that. If people, you know how many people would tune in? Because one, there's like this bloodlust deep within all of us. So like there's a lot of you sick fucks that miss the public executions and would be back. Don't deny it. But anyway,
listen, like when you ever see the kid end up in like the zoo exhibit, I root for the animal.
Yeah. So, well, that's what Carl Pilkington, noted British comedian / philosopher genius. It's like, hey, well,
sounds like a great guy.
He's like, well, we got loads of kids, but that ape looked like it was endangered.
Oh my god.
So R.I.P. Harambe. And that's what they're saying. They killed that squirrel. New York State killed that squirrel, and that was the new Harambe. That's why Trump won. Because the New York government got this guy who's like also an OnlyFans model somehow, had the Instagram with Peanut the squirrel.
Yes.
Then a bunch of like trolls reported them. So then they sent like the fucking, environmental New York ATF or some shit to go there and kick the doors in. Surrender the squirrel. Then when they grabbed the squirrel bit someone because like, why wouldn't it? So then they killed the squirrel because they're afraid of rabies. So they killed the squirrel. The squirrel got his revenge in the spiritual realm, battling psychic entities. And that is why Trump won and Kamala lost. It's the new Harambe.
So the reason why Kamala lost is because of a squirrel.
There's also there was the one like Indonesian zoo where the baby hippo chose Trump because it ate the Trump cake and not the Kamala cake. He's also...
Did they have the corgi also who shoots basketballs down a flight of steps and lands in a basket? Did they have that?
We should replace the Electoral College with something like that.
Yeah, a corgi.
If you could get like an Air Bud, and then if he scores the basket, and then who was standing there when the basket was scored.
It would be such a more
just
legitimized
random
system.
lottery.
Yeah, have animals respect. But speaking of the election, one of the things I wanted to talk about tonight was the role, and you can give me your opinion on it, that Barron Trump kind of played in the election.
So that's what people are saying. Barron Trump is cultivating a mystique right now because no one can see a video of him talking normally in my life, and I look for it. It's like, this guy never speaks. I did find a video when he was like 4, and it was a video they did with his mom, and he spoke like a little like Dracula because his mom has got that Slovenian accent. He's like, hello, I am Barron Trump. Yeah. So that was cute, but he probably lost that accent from that. But he doesn't say anything. His dad... He just acts like, oh, that Barron's smart. He's like 18 feet tall. I don't know what they're feeding this kid.
6'9".
6'9". He's going to NYU business school, and apparently his dad's like, hey, go on this podcast. That's good. And like all this team with like $1 billion of consultants got beat out by some 18-year-old. It's like, hey, I like Aiden Ross. Go on here, go on there. And is he the mastermind behind this all?
Yeah, he did everything. I mean, Trump did all like. Because there's that whole like clique now of like podcasters, the Andrew Schultz, Tim Dillon had Vance on, which is still a big deal, and then you had obviously Rogan did Theo Vaughn, who's a complete lunatic, but I think Vance and Trump both did Theo Vaughn, and then he did Aiden Ross, which was big, and he's always done Nelk because of Dana White being so tight with Nelk, So Trump got millions, hundreds of millions of views because of this. I mean, the Rogan podcast alone, I think, has last time I checked, 50 million.
And then Harris wanted Joe Rogan to fly out to her to do 45 minutes of scripted stuff. So it just, we see a new media landscape now.
That would have been a fucking mess anyway.
What we learned is podcasters are just superior people. And if you have a podcast, it means that you're cool, and it means your opinions are valid. And because I have a camera, I am higher than you. You have an opinion, but you don't have the camera. You have your phone camera. It's not as good. It's not the same. Because of this, we are the new, Illuminati here. If you go on my podcast, you will become president. And I will dictate foreign policy, and I will decide which countries we wipe off the map, which countries we move towards with our long-term strategy, because podcasting people are just a different breed of intelligentsia, of being very handsome and talented and funny. Everyone loves them. I've heard from people that watch it that it's the best show of all It's definitely, I try and keep it humble too.
Well, I mean,
I try and stay humble. I've been told that I am possibly the most humble on earth, and the podcast helps me stay like that.
yeah. Well, I mean, nightly TV and the night talk shows have just gone to complete shit.
You don't say.
It's actually painful to watch. Seth Meyers is so bad. I've never. All he talks about is Donald Trump. That's all he has. He fucking dresses like a bum too. He dresses for a nightly show like how I'm dressed now. That's what the fucking guy wears. Stephen Colbert, fucking terrible. Used to be funny. He's fucking terrible.
We're just
and Jimmy Kimmel was crying. Jimmy Kimmel is the biggest pussy I've ever seen. First of all, he's crying because of the fucking election. He's probably paid to fucking cry, but
it sounds like me just goofing around now. But this is following a long-term trend, going all the way back to the printing press. It used to be, I'm just a wealthy monk in my abbey. I can only reproduce the most precious of texts. It costs so much with animal vellum. Then the first woke libtard, Martin Luther and Gutenberg and their printing press, let anyone have an opinion on theology and the celestial spheres that we rightfully know belongs to the realm of educated church scholars. But anyway, any libtard could write a book. We have the Pilgrims come here. They do whatever. They're like, hey, we're always watching you. You better not jerk off or you burn in hell. But you could go kill the Native Americans. That's cool. No jerking off, though. So we went from that. And then radio democratizes it more. Then you have the Kennedy election. Like, wow, he looked better than Nixon. All the radio listeners were like, yeah, his policy, yeah. But all the TV, that was the first, wow, he's hot. So then we started down. So Trump is the ultra, reality TV media blitz thing. But now we've gone from TV, where you used to have, like, it's studio insiders. There's limited broadcasting, movers, shakers, and producers. The capital costs are high. I got this giant ass TV, studio, lights, whatever. But now every dumbass with a phone can make their own shit. So we've ultimately democratized and permanently fractured it. So there's not going to be a few big media people, but just a loose coalition of people that vibe with the audience. And I think this is a positive development, because it turns out all these Hollywood and media people, it's not like they were super cool gatekeeping. They were just like molesting people on an island. So they kind of deserve to be destroyed a little bit here. And I hope this AI continues in the future. I want to be able to just go on a schizophrenic rambling with my AI and say, hey, I'm thinking of this movie. It'd be really cool. Hey, and I want it to give me a script. I want it storyboard. Who should it be? And then I just want to tell the computer what movie to make. I make it, and then it's good. And then anyone can make a good movie.
Or you could just do like a movie that's already been made, but then with AI,
you could
play
either
a different actor.
de-wokeify a movie.
You could have like Rudy played as like Denzel Washington.
If you're on the right, you could make a movie not woke. If you're on the left, you could make a really old racist movie super woke, and you could edit movies that you want. If you hated season 8 of Game of Thrones, you could get all the nerds together that read all the books. You see what Brendan Tully should have did, and and you can do all that. You could fix Lord of the Rings. You could add Tom Bombadil. Everyone that has ever got butthurt over any TV show or movie can fix it. Make a new version, make their own, and ultimately I'm just going to make my own movies, and I'm only going to be surrounded by people that watch them. Therefore, everyone's that I talk to is going to think they were great, and then I'm going to be stuck in my own head and think that I'm a new Stanley Kubrick. So, can't stop me.
Well, the one thing I wanted to say too about the podcast world that the podcast world that we're in now is the fact that with Rogan, they're a lot less, just being biased towards one side. At least Rogan just gives a fair, and you get 3 hours of for the first, let's say 30 minutes, they might have their shoulders up, but then you see everybody kind of just like get comfortable, and then it just becomes like a flow of conversation where it's like on TV, you get 15 minutes of just complete phoniness and bullshit of like people, like you said, who are molesting people and go into an island and, they're all like just paid to like support this complete idiot who you can tell they don't even really like, but like Oprah apparently is owed tons of money by Kamala.
People see behind the curtain now. The great and powerful Oz,
yeah,
turns out was molesting everyone. So we've seen behind the curtain. So what does Joe Rogan have that these people lack? It's called authenticity. He's built this fan base that was with him for years. Joe Rogan is not some Rhodes Scholar here. He's not a genius. He didn't write some new political theory that's taken the world by storm. He's mostly a regular guy who appeals to other regular guys, and he's a good interviewer because he'll just believe whoever. You can have real government experts, and then you can talk with him about the fourth-dimensional beings, but when you do DMT and the clockwork elves and what's going on the celestial plane, And he has these guys talk about like, well, Atlantis was really real, but they covered it up. Atlantis, the Great Flood, and he'll just believe you. I saw someone post online. He's like a Khan from the ancient times, and he has this vast empire. And he's like, why does sun go into the sky? Oh, why do the deep waters? Where does the world go? And he has different theologians and musicians in his court that have to convince him. He's like, oh. And he's just like an idiot ruler that wants to be smart, but he's a normal, approachable guy, and he'll interview anyone. And they didn't have Kamala on because they want everything scripted, but you can't get through that. It's Trump, say what you will about him for saying all sorts of insane things 24/7. He's definitely not scripted. They're eating the cats and dogs. Like, he'll just throw that out there, and you kind of deal with it. Kamala has her whole thing, but you realize there's just an empty shell. So you'd rather have a flawed person with all sorts of problems who's themselves versus like a chameleon that will just whatever the focus group says is what they believe. So anyway,
yeah, what you said, Ken.
The motion passes.
Ozempic.
So
this is the new wave now. This is how people are losing weight. People don't want to go to the gym anymore, so they inject Ozempic.
So that's the move. I lost 50 pounds on myself, but then I put it back on. So it's like, do I go to the Ozempic? So one, I think it's like from Denmark or some shit. They're saying like,
don't ask me. I don't know where it's from.
It's some European country that normally does nothing, but they realize that there's trillions to be made if they use all their material efforts and minds, and they make a Manhattan Project for making Americans not fat. They don't have to realize that this industry is worth quadrillions.
Hold on, Taylor's going to tell us where it's from.
It's from Denmark.
Yeah, it's from Denmark, yeah. But anyway, these Danes, they have like 6 million people. They're mostly chill, just walking around, not doing anything. You have a few terrorist attacks here and there, but what are you going to do? They're mostly chill, but they realize that Americans want to constantly put processed soy lectin Fritos in our face 24/7 because it tastes good. Look at this. Look at this. So you think this is good for you? It's not. And we just can't help ourselves. And they realize it's like, hey, I don't know how they did it. If it's like Clockwork Orange and you feel disgusted. But anyway, it somehow kills your appetite. And because this is how obesity would be solved. It won't be from eating right and exercising, which it turns out is the actual solve. No, that's annoying. That's hard. Who has time for this? The Masked Singer's on. I can't be doing this. I love cheesesteaks. So the only other way would be to alter our biology so we become like disgusted with ourselves. I don't know the solution, but it seems like it works for a lot of people. But then I did read the story of this woman who I think had irritable bowel syndrome. She had something wrong with her. She has huge stomach issues, so she says she throws up 8 times a day now, and just pours out of her asshole when she shits. So this is why you just gotta wait and make sure shit works for 10 years before you jump on. This is like, all right,
the commercials are going to be coming out. It's like if you were a loved one,
if you were a loved one, couldn't stop going to Dunkin' Donuts.
If you were a loved one, has been diagnosed with mesothelioma. It's going to be the same vibe as that. If you were a loved one has taken Ozempic and now is experiencing all these, you too might be entitled to financial compensation. But we'll see what happens, but this is just another way of proving that how lazy Americans are. It's just instead of exercising and pushing that.
But it's very emblematic of our whole society. Like clearly modernity, which we think so great. Oh, I love the Enlightenment. We have a problem here. It's got problems. Ever hear of nuclear war? Couldn't do that medieval times. Now we could kill everyone in an instant. So it comes with.
What does that have to do with Ozempic?
My point is, this is modernity, industrial society. Industrial society itself made us all fat and lazy and completely reoriented human incentive structures. Yet instead of being like, hey, maybe tap the brakes on that, we double down on the industrial society monstrosity. Like, no, send your technicians back into the lab and make something that make us not fat now. Instead of like, hey, maybe we should just eat right and exercise and walk to work. Nah, fuck that. We need a chemical process.
It's the same with cancer. I mean, it's the same thing with cancer. Yeah. People don't ever, on these commercials, they never come out and say exercise and change your diet up and, take
and that's
proper
why I'm like
supplements.
Just cynical in general about the pharmaceutical industry. Like they would cost themselves money to cure things. So like it makes you afraid that they would just keep like the cure close to the chest. We need to make sure.
Scumbags. I mean, they run the world.
If Trump's like redoing the whole government with Elon Musk at the charge, it's like if you cure a disease, I will personally pay you $10 billion, and you just come out with it. Because otherwise,
Well, now you have Robert Kennedy too, so that's going to be the big thing. Who's
We are declaring war on processed cheese.
Donald is going to elect me and I'm going to be in charge.
They killed my uncle and my father. Now they're trying to kill you with hydrochloric soda. Blah blah blah.
Yeah, so there's going to be a lot of light shine on the vaccine thing now because he's very much anti-vaccine.
Well, I heard he's not even anti-vax. He just wants to make sure.
No, he's
they
very
go
much anti-vax.
Well, he probably is.
He's 100% anti-vax.
But I've heard
He
from
is
people
100%.
defending him online.
He's literally like friends with my mom, and my mom's the biggest anti-vax person. And
she's just gonna be like Sarah Connor in Terminator 2, where she's like a full-on anti-tech terrorist, but it's at Pfizer instead.
That's her life goal. Terrified. Yeah, but no, it's that's his big thing. I mean, that's what he's in Trump's ear about. And
But from what I heard from his official propaganda, he just wants the vaccines to pass the double-blind study like every other pharmaceutical has to. And if they can't, well, then it's like you haven't proven the efficacy is worth the risk. So who the hell knows? The guy.
And he wants to get, what is it? He wants to get fluoride out of water, right?
Yeah, like people defending the fluoride in the water because like it's proven at this concentration the lower IQ, but the lower levels are safe. Well, I'm not taking that. One, if it makes you dumber, you're gonna like think it's a good idea. So maybe we should just defluoride ourselves first and then think about it. Maybe we just say, "Hey, this actually is a bad idea."
Yeah.
But who knows?
Is Wawa that good, or is it just the convenience?
Wawa has gone down the tubes. It used to be great. They used to slice the meat. They used to have the pickle thing. The rolls used to be good. Then they bring in these half-baked rolls.
Used to be a deli. I mean, you used to be able to get.
Deli.
You used to be able to get, like my grandma. I remember that's where she would get her lunch meat from.
It used to be the world's most convenient deli of all time that everyone loved. Then it slowly but surely added more and more things and less quality, and now it's just that everyone loves it because it's there. I hate to say this as a Philadelphian. This will get some death threats, but at this point, it's not better than 7-Eleven, and I hate to say it, but they have become the thing they swore to destroy. They've been corrupted by the force of the ring. Wawa used to be great, and now it's just any other store. Like even they're like Wawa has pizza. They're like a Delaware commercial. Not that it's good pizza, not that the pizza is like the best. Just we have it. Check it out, I guess. So I don't know. I wish Wawa could be better.
I would disagree with that. I still think it's better than 7-Eleven, but it's definitely going downhill. Sandwiches are mid, but I think it's just more the convenience factor where you can get food at 3:30 in the morning and
it doesn't close, which is awesome. It's always busy. The people. They have their employees trained well, like Chick-fil-A, where I've been in real fucked up areas and they still have it relatively clean and orderly. So they really push their staff to the limit.
Mm-hmm.
It's still good for like their hot coffee thing. It's better than like Dunkin' Donuts and stuff. They have a lot of different options, but their deli hoagies suck now. I think the meatball sandwich is all right. And but
wait,
most
you get
of
meatball sandwiches from Wawa?
They're better than the other shit. Have you tried any like their like lunch meat hoagies lately? Like they're horrifying.
I mean, that's once in a while.
You're just accepting that it's already ultra
Once
processed.
in a while, I'll get a hoagie from Wawa, but I'm not getting meatballs from Wawa.
Listen, I think
I get a bagel sometimes in the morning.
It's gone down in quality, but if Wawa sponsors this podcast, I will convince these unwashed masses of listeners that Wawa is actually better than the finest fine dining, and it deserves a Michelin star or 3. And that it's Hoagie Fest, and I will tell them they're having deals when they're not even having a deal, because I just will force them to go in and buy more, and I'll tell them about the app, and I'll get all your points, and then I will redeem it for my own franchise location.
Hoagie Fest has been extended for 3 months this year. But it actually hasn't. We're just, implying because they're sponsoring the show.
Wawa, if you're listening, I'll take points, rewards points, so you don't even have to pay me.
One thing I wanted to talk to you about, winter is starting to come into starting to get cold now. So the winter season is entering Philadelphia. How much credibility do you give people that put their trash can out of their spot, out front of their house? They've shoveled out their spot.
All right, I see this online in discourse, and all these people on the internet that claim to be from Philly that are anti-saving your spot. These are transplants that need to be rooted out. They are carpetbaggers. They need to go back to the suburbs. They need to go back to Jersey. It's like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. If you're a Philadelphian And you see one of these, actually, the local government says you can't. No, fuck you. Fuck you. This is a perfect system. It's a perfect Philadelphia system, and it's legal in Boston. They actually respect it. And this goes back hundreds of years to John Locke's on property. And
The metal trash cans out there.
Beyond the trash can, beyond that, this makes perfect sense as a theory of property. There's this thing, the commons. John Locke's wondering, like, where do societies come from? Humans just walking around, they make a decision in a social contract. He's like, look, what is property? You decide to make something, take something from the commons. What do? You add your labor to it. Your labor is inalienable from you, your body. You definitely own your body and the rights to your body.
You should.
So John Locke says if you're in the state of nature, everyone can pluck the apple, but as soon as you pluck it, it's yours. But you can't waste it. So this is the same thing. All the parking spots are the commons owned by everyone. But if you have to shovel for an hour and a half to get that spot out, you added your inalienable labor to it. And then some free rider, freeloader who did nothing decides to park there. No, my patio chair marked it. Your car is now being keyed. The air is out of your tires. I am smashing your windows, or I will just bury your car in much more snow so that it will take you longer to get it out than it took me to put it in. And if you just play by the rules, you could have avoided this horrible fate. So it makes sense. I put all the work in. I should get it. Now, you can't put your thing out in the middle of the summer because you didn't do shit.
So you disagree with that? Like, people in South Philly do that. They'll put a cone out there. Fuck your cone.
You should respect the cone in South Philly. Like, you may be right, but is it really worth your car being damaged by some lunatic?
Yeah, especially if it's like the mob, too. You know, you don't want to take Tony Soprano's spot and then you're sleeping with the fishes because you parked in a spot that technically wasn't yours.
Don't want that. But I support all the way. Like, you fuckers that just think you can move into someone's spot. Like, who do you get off? Go back to fucking Doylestown where you belong.
All right. One thing I had down here was, so, you know, this immigration law that Trump's throwing in, he's just, what is it, mass deportation that he's trying to bring in?
Well, he's
you think that's going to come into Philadelphia?
Well, that's the thing. It's like we have such a low, like, illegal immigrant population because they realize when they see, like, Kensington that they'd rather live in Guatemala. So that Trump should just make all the migrants live here. They'll self-deport. Make them have to rely on SEPTA to get to work on time. Make them have to, you know, hope 95 isn't backed up.
Oh, the Migo is so slow.
It's like the trash here has to be worse than wherever they came from. Look up El Salvador. They elected like a dictator who just put every criminal in a prison camp, and it worked. It turns out you can just remove a small portion of society who caused all the problems, and then things are pretty good. So it's like, hey, are you a criminal? Yeah. Have you done crimes before? Yeah, I like doing crimes. It turns out you could just put them in jail, and then so now he probably went a little overboard. He probably put the ice cream man in jail too. But the people just want a nice place to live. So a lot of these people fleeing their country is probably better now than when they left. If they're in Philly and they're just looking at K&A, just go back home. So that's what Trump should do. Meanwhile, Trump's not even pulling a new law. He's going to use the Enemy Alien Act of 1798. He's going to hit them with the John Adams Alien and Sedition Acts, which I didn't even know was still on the books, but they are. So that was an oversight if you're trying to stop that. So it should be entertaining at least.
Yeah, it definitely should be. You know, Trump's going to be throwing everything at them now.
Oh, yeah,
he's duck 4 years. He's got a complete lunatic.
Gonna make like
cabinet.
Laura Loomer the head of the CIA. You better watch out. This guy's just gonna go insane. Just give him like half of what he wants and tell him that he's the most handsome, and it'll probably work. He doesn't even want to be president. People just keep trying to shoot him and put him in jail. He just wants to golf, and he just wants a show from the White House. We should just give him a reality TV show and say, sir,
we had that.
America says that you are also the richest and the most handsome, and everyone loves you. And that would be his life's mission. Trump's such a unique politician because, like, he's clearly driven by vain, selfish ambition, but he's, like, open about that. Like, he doesn't, like, lie. He, like, you know, like, when he lies to you, like, it's so obvious a lie, you know he's lying, and you're in on the joke. And his interests are aligned with ours because he just wants to go down as the best, the greatest, the most tremendous of all time.
We know.
He wants to, therefore...
He makes that very clear.
Therefore, he'll do what he thinks is the right thing more than an average politician. So he's clearly out there. But, yeah, this administration, he just wants to golf mostly, and, like, J.D. Vance and Elon Musk wants to run it.
Trump is he's almost like a cartoon figure where everything he says he's going to do, he just repeats after he says what he's going to do. We're going to do so great, right? It's going to be the greatest thing you've ever seen.
And you guys really let Elon Musk, the fox in the hen house with this one, that you guys pissed him off. Everyone's been doubting this guy. I've been following this guy's career with great interest. So it was so weird when he met up with Trump. I didn't expect those worlds to collide, but here we are. This guy, they said, you can't do this. You can't do that. It's impossible. He is going to obsess for like 3 months. He's going to find out everyone in the federal government that does nothing. He's going to tell
Trump's going to be the first president on the moon, by the way.
Sir, I think you should fire them. It's like, great idea, Elon, right? They're fired, right?
He's going to the moon. They're going to go to the moon together. And
that's
it's
the
going to be
thing. That's how Elon will get Trump to say on his good side. He's like, sir, give me power. I will send the astronauts to the moon and then Mars. And then he'll just paint like Trump's face on the giant rocket or something.
We'll put a Trump banner on the moon.
USS Donald Trump going to Mars. It's like, sir, you are so great. And it's like, right. They call it the red planet. They voted for me, right? And I've always wanted a Mars base. And if it is delivered by the comical orange man, this will just be a very funny timeline.
Could you imagine Trump on the moon?
Trump would go to the moon.
Folks, we've done it, right? The first president ever on the moon. Could you believe it? I can't. I'm not surprised.
He would 100% go to the moon.
Oh, yeah, just to say he's the first president on the moon. We're doing great things. Sleepy Joe would have fell asleep halfway there. He wouldn't have made it.
They say the cow jumps over the moon. I didn't see Chris Christie here, right?
Yeah. But, yeah, I don't have any, I put down a lot of topics. I feel like we dove into a lot of shit tonight. But Jake Paul, again, fights Mike Tyson, a former Disney guy versus a former heavyweight champion who's 58 now.
He's definitely just going to take the money to, like, lose.
Like, I don't even hate Jake Paul, but I do want Mike Tyson to knock him out. This guy, think about Mike Tyson's career. He was an orphan. He worked for like gangs and would go break people's legs. Then he gets taken in by this all-white family. This old guy, Customato, grooms him to be this insanely talented boxer. And then people think he's normal and like they thought he was just all about being a student of the game. Then you find out he's a complete fucking lunatic. Gets involved with Don King, who takes all his money. He gets accused of raping a woman, gets a tattoo on his face, owns a tiger, by the way. Didn't even know that was possible.
You forgot about biting the ear.
Bites it, yes.
And
Bites
then
an ear
I
off.
will F you till you love me.
Yes. Yeah. Then he told, yes, he would eat your asshole alive. And this is what he told the man in the press conference. And yeah. And now it's come full circle to him fighting a YouTube celebrity.
Oh, and I just, final thought on that. It's just like going on fighting and what we're talking about the moon. You know how it's like, oh, the rumble in the jungle, the thriller in Manila. They always have to have that cool thing that rhymes. What first fight on the moon? What would you call it?
The goons on the moon.
The haters in the crater, like something like that. Can you imagine how like that'll be 2028? Elon will take Dana White and Trump up to the moon to have the first fight.
They'll do an octagon, and they'll have a 25-minute match with 2 punches thrown because of how slow gravity is.
Imagine getting knocked out of the ring by a punch.
That'd be wild. You knock somebody like 100 yards.
Like, I know we're still far away from this happening, but I guarantee you if they make going to the moon like as cheap as like going to California, there'll be like sports leagues and shit in the moon. Can you imagine how cool that would be? Moon football.
They should do the NFL Combine on the moon.
If they're going to keep playing NFL games in London and Germany, they should at least have one on the moon. Can you imagine 99-yard field goal? It'd be easy.
Yeah. You have anything else, Ken?
No.
To add?
Just,
I don't have anything
just
else.
make the moon great again.
Make the moon great again. Yeah, guys, tune in. Thank you for listening, as always. Slightly relatable. Have a good week.